Hi, everyone, and welcome today. We are here to talk about the landmark studies, and it's really bringing that Shaklee difference to life in really no other way possible. This is truly a Shaklee difference presentation, and it's about real people and real results. And we are joined by a very special guest, Dr. Jamie McManus, who is Chair of Medical Affairs, who not only is going to take us through the landmark studies, but also was integrally involved in the development of these studies. And who better than the expert? Dr. Jamie, welcome.
Thank you, Nancy, and it's fantastic to be here. And yes, one of my favorite topics in Shaklee to talk about is our landmark studies, for sure.
I'm so happy you're here today, and I just always am intrigued by the results of the landmark study. So let's dive right in. I mean, truly, that's what we're about at Shaklee, right? It's all about the science, and so I'm sure that pertains to the landmark studies.
For sure. It is why I came to Shaklee in 2005, was because I saw a company that was based on solid science, that created products that really had an impact on people's health. And they were very interested in studying the rationale and the results of those products to really document that they are based upon sound, solid science and relevance for health.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So let's give a little background on sort of our science.
Well, it's quite remarkable at this point in time that we have over 140 publications. And just to put that into perspective, Nancy, there's no requirement to do research. Many companies in our industry don't do any research whatsoever. So it was of interest to me in my coming to Shaklee, and we've continued to increase our archive of publications. And we really have some very interesting studies that have not only validated our products, but have also provided perspective and validation for nutritional concepts in general. We were some of the early research in omega-3 fatty acids, in the use of soy protein as meal replacement for weight management. And we've partnered with some really outstanding academic experts and have published, most of our studies are published in what we call peer-reviewed journals, which is the highest level of scientific and medical journals.
Oh, that's fantastic to hear. And I know that I have looked into some of these, and it astounds me that a lot of this happened. Some of this scientific research has happened even before things have become popular in the news. And so it's like we've been at this a long time and have just vast content to share.
That's a very important point. We have been at this a long time, and we're pretty darn good at doing nutritional research, because it's hard to study nutrition because we have to eat every day. So studying nutrients and in a way that is relevant to making some conclusions about what they do and what they don't do is actually quite challenging. So I think Shaklee has definitely led the way, certainly in our industry, in perpetuating and supporting and integrating the importance of clinical research.
Fantastic. And so that leads us right into the landmark studies. Now, we started the presentation with landmark studies, and I see the landmark studies. So I take it there's two, and I thought maybe you could give us some background on sort of why there's two, and then also how this all started.
Absolutely. Well, initially, this study was called our dietary supplement study. And early on in the tenure of Roger Barnett having bought the Shaklee Corporation, and my coming to the company to help support and energize the Shaklee Science portfolio, we really decided that we had kind of a unique situation in Shaklee because we know our consumers. And we've had relationships with our consumers as part of the Shaklee Corporation, and for over 50 years at that point in time. And so our initial idea was to be able to study our population of folks that use multiple dietary supplements for a long period of time and compare their health to people that simply either don't use supplements or use just a multivitamin. And we had the incredible honor and opportunity to partner with one of the most well-known nutritional epidemiologists in the world, probably, Dr. Gladys Block, who happened to be at UC Berkeley School of Public Health. And so right down the road from our Shaklee headquarters in Pleasanton, California. And so we were able to partner with her, design the study, partner with other folks to help execute the study at the global conference, because we not only know our people, but we actually gather together certain times during the year, including always an annual global conference in the summertime. So we were able to design the study, implement the important aspects of gathering data before the actual study execution. And then when the Shaklee group was there at the global conference, they actually came by appointments from 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. before the conference started to have their blood drawn, their measurements taken. I mean, pretty remarkable participation and pretty remarkable study to be able to design and execute upon. It was a great honor.
Yeah, I would think so. And I'm sure that pretty much everybody wanted to participate in this, number one, because they're feeling the difference. And then logistically, just trying to, we were fortunate enough, as you said, to have everybody together to logistically pull this information together. Amazing.
Yes, absolutely. So this truly is a groundbreaking study. This is why we ultimately have called this in the landmark study. It was because it was a unique population and a unique study, and so truly groundbreaking. That's why Dr. Block was so interested in partnering with us, and the results were as outstanding as we expected, which is another aspect. When you're partnering with academic folks, they have control over the publication, not us. So if the results hadn't been good, we might have had to deal with that. We had great confidence that we weren't going to have any issues with that, and the data supported our perspective and our expectation that that group of Shaklee long-term supplement users who had used the supplements for 20 years or more, 10 plus supplements a day for 20 years or more, and those folks had markedly better health as compared to folks who either didn't use the supplement at all or just use another multivitamin.
That's fantastic. So seeing is believing. I mean, of course, when you see the Shaklee people that participated in this study, they look incredibly healthy and active and vibrant and just, it's what we all want, right? And so that
we're forever shocked at finding out the age of many of our long-term product folks.
The chronological age does not always match what
the biological age. That's yes, for sure.
Exactly. And so so this is intriguing too, because they were on supplements for 20 years. So and when I hear how many supplements, I know when I first started taking supplements, it seems like a lot of supplements, like sometimes just trying to get a multivitamin in, this could be sort of maybe a little overwhelming for some, hearing these statistics, and these numbers. But so it's not like you're going to have results because you had to take 20 supplements and do this for 20 years.
No, and in fact, part of the perspective here is that this is not only validating the benefits, but it's also validating the safety. I mean, these are folks that are purchasing these supplements, so they're not going to purchase these supplements for 20 years if they're not having a benefit from them. So that in and of itself is we're selecting a group that obviously has the perspective and the commitment and the consistency of using their supplements, but also are committed to a healthy lifestyle. I mean, these folks definitely are active, healthy individuals that they're very passionate about sharing their Shaklee products as part of a healthy lifestyle, which we'll define a little bit later, I think, for folks, Nancy.
Yeah, that's right, Dr. Jamie. I mean, okay, I'm going to go to the next slide because the results, these are the results. This is like the real meat here.
So there's a whole publication which we showed on a couple of slides ago, but these are some of the most interesting statistics and the most relevant, because our goal was to study cardiometabolic health, primarily, with heart disease being the #1 cause of death in America. We really wanted to look at health status and biomarkers that were related to and relevant to heart disease. So again, we saw 33% lower level of triglycerides. Triglycerides are like cholesterol, are a marker for heart health risk, as is homocysteine for both heart and brain and cognitive health. So again, you want lower levels of these, because higher levels of these biomarkers are associated with an increased risk of cardiovascular problems, as with C-reactive protein, which is a measure of inflammation, or as we term it, long-term biological stress. And this is at the heart of either causing or exacerbating, or certainly strongly associated with, a variety of health challenges, including cardiovascular problems. And then, of course, something that you want to have higher is your HDL cholesterol, the good cholesterol that's protective. And indeed, we were higher. So things we wanted to be lower on, we were lower on. Things we wanted to be higher on, we're higher on. So really nice validation of the perspective of supplement usage being associated with better health.
Fantastic. Okay, so that's landmark 1. Those results are remarkable. Now we're going to move into landmark 2, because there are 2 landmark studies. So this is landmark 2.
Well, and again, because we have an ongoing relationship with our consumers, we were able to design and execute a 10-year follow-up study. So taking the same population, Nancy, that we studied in 2005, we came back in 2015 to study them 10 years later. So in 2005, they were a population of about 300 plus folks who were at that time average age 63 years old. So again, a little bit older group, just to see how we define what older is, but it's all
it's not really feeling that old right now, but
yeah, exactly. And so this was now looking at the same group 10 years later, still utilizing Shaklee products. So now they've been taking Shaklee products for 30 years or more. So some of these folks have been taking Shaklee products for as much as 50 years, which is in and of itself quite remarkable. And this time, unfortunately, Dr. Block had retired. And so we partnered with Dr. Paul Jakes of Tufts University. So again, a very outstanding university, very strong nutrition program. Some of the strongest nutritional experts in the world are at Tufts University. So again, a great academic partnership.
What I love about this, because Dr. Jamie, you mentioned, so landmark 1 was done in 2005, and then 10 years later, 2015, follow up with landmark 2. And in 2005, like back then, like even supplements sort of were getting kind of a bit of a bad rap back then. I mean, they weren't as well recognized or embraced with our consumers as maybe they are now.
Well, I think I alluded to it a bit ago. Nutrition is hard to study. It's hard to validate, because you can't study a person who doesn't take any vitamin C, because they would be dying of complications of scurvy if they didn't take vitamin C. So you can't really study a population that doesn't use nutrition or doesn't have nutrition. So it's very challenging and complicated to be able to study that. And so Shaklee has been, again, one of the leaders in doing scientific research, which is why we've always had a good connection with these academic partners who see our products as good, responsible, safe, and effective dietary supplements, and our being able to study our people is again also quite remarkable.
That long-term commitment from a consumer, they're not going to keep buying supplements if they're not feeling a difference. So,
That's exactly correct.
amazing.
Exactly
Well, let's
correct.
talk about those objectives with Landmark 2, because we knew what Landmark 1 was about, but coming back to study another 10 years later.
Right. So we had two primary objectives. The first one was to study our product users. And this time we had not only the long-term follow-up cohort of that original 2005 population, but also some newer folks that had just come into using Shaklee in the previous 3 years or so. So we combined that group together and compared them again to the NHANES cohort, which is the national database from the CDC of nutrition information about the American public. So objective one was to study our population and compare it to a general population that used either no supplements or up to 2 or more supplements. And then the other real interesting thing for me in particular was to observe and hopefully validate that the health benefits that are associated with long-term use of our products that we reported in Landmark 1 persisted over time. Were these folks that looked darn healthy at average age 63, did they continue to look healthy at average age 73?
And I'm sure you saw that.
So we are documentation and validation of 73 is the new 63, I guess.
Fantastic, right? I always love when the clock goes in that direction.
Yeah, exactly. So this is our publication. It was published in 2021 with the International Journal of Vitamin and Nutrition Research. And again, the title says it all: a beneficial cardiometabolic health profile associated with dietary supplement use, a cross-sectional study. So anyone who is used to reading nutritional research or any kind of scientific research understands that this is a valid study, and you can go to our health resource site and actually print out the whole study and read it for yourself, share it with others. Certainly anyone who is talking to scientists, they will have an appreciation of the validity as well as the powerful proof that the study provides.
And of course, whoops, sorry, my presentation jumped ahead here. Let me see if I can get back to this. Landmark 2, and then
so much energy, Nancy.
I know, I'm telling you, it just keeps jumping all over the place. Here we go. So let's talk about those results.
Let's talk about those results.
Because I mean, this is like the perfect slide. These slides are I love these, and I love these numbers.
Well, again, we looked at some new data that we didn't look at in Landmark 1. So we looked at vitamin D, which had become so relevant in the intervening time between Landmark 1 and Landmark 2. The research on vitamin D exploded. So
right, I call it the little superhero supplement. It just
yes,
so
absolutely.
many.
We think it's just for bones, but it's for heart and immune and cognitive and mood, and it plays a role in so many different aspects of our health. Because the reality is even though it's called a vitamin, it's actually a hormone and functions more like a hormone in your body. So okay. So we had 141% higher levels of vitamin D on average. B12, very interesting, because again, this is a population average age 73. B12 deficiencies become much more common over the age of 50. So again, our population clearly is getting their B12 and absorbing their B12. Ferritin is a measure of iron stores. And then here's another one of these markers that we didn't study in 2005, even though we talked about it, because it just didn't have much use in clinical medicine at that point in time. It's becoming more known, but this is still a little bit of a new situation. So we'll talk about this in a couple of slides, but this is a omega-3 index, a measure of omega-3 fatty acids in your bloodstream, in your red blood cells, actually. And we'll talk about how that is a biomarker for heart health risk. And then again, the protective HDL, cholesterol, again, higher. So these are all things that we'd like to see higher than other populations, and indeed we did.
And so nice to see some of our newest superheroes like vitamin D and omegas, like all of these rating much higher with our population.
Absolutely.
Okay, now let's talk about the ones that are heading in the right direction, which is down.
Absolutely. So those that we would like to be lower than, because we want to show again a reduce in risk, and so these are all biomarkers that are associated with some sort of health risk, and so we want them to be lower. So the C-reactive protein, triglycerides for cardiovascular health are lower. We measured a lot of markers related to blood sugar health, and we'll talk about that more here in just a moment, but we had reduced insulin levels, which is positive. That means that your blood sugar is in a healthier range. The actual blood glucose was lower, and hemoglobin A1C, which is a measure of overall 3-month control of blood sugar. And then BMI, which is important. And again, I see this as a validation of the fact that our population wasn't just taking supplements and being unhealthy otherwise. They were committed to an overall healthy lifestyle, which includes weight management. And that's something that Shaklee has always been a very strong proponent of, and have a lot of published studies on weight management and weight management principles and program and support. And so again, it's nice to see that our population was 9% slimmer than the general population, which we know our American public is not one that we want to aspire to.
More in the overweight category, correct?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yes. Well, these are phenomenal numbers. I mean, these results, and then
nice validation and realistic. And again, these are real people using real products over an extended period of time. So,
and also leading that healthier lifestyle, having those healthier lifestyle habits. It's not just one thing that they're doing, right?
Absolutely, Nancy. Absolutely. And this is another thing that we hadn't asked in Landmark 1 that we asked in Landmark 2. And again, we know that that we live in a world of polypharmacy, and people do look for solutions there. But there's an awful lot of people that are looking to be as healthy as they possibly can and try to avoid or minimize the amounts of medications they need. Sometimes medications are necessary and essential. But again, if you can lose weight and eat healthier and exercise regularly and achieve a better health without having those sort of interventions, most people feel that's pretty positive. So this was nice validation again that there was an association of supplement usage with less medication usage, which has to be overall a good thing.
That's a good thing. Medications come with side effects, and not all, but there's side effects, and it's very expensive. So much better to sort of invest in your health with nutritional supplementation and a healthy lifestyle.
Absolutely. So we like to kind of have our major learnings that we can talk about related to our landmark studies, and really we say these as landmark 2 study, but it's really both landmark studies validate the Shaklee lifestyle, which is saying that our supplement usage plus our lifestyle is associated with a lower prevalence of many chronic health challenges. That's a positive thing. It's not, it's just more information and more validation that what we are experiencing by our own experience with the product is validated by the scientific process.
Fantastic. And then, of course, probably best to talk about what does that mean? Some people may be asking, what does a healthy lifestyle mean? What is this? Yes.
Right. Well, this is not all inclusive because but this is what I call is the most critical part of the foundation of building a healthy life. What you eat, you are what you eat. So unfortunately, most of Americans are eating highly processed fast foods, fried food, whereas a healthy eating pattern is more fruits and vegetables, healthy proteins, lean protein, whole grains, higher fiber foods, that healthy eating, along with an active lifestyle. We know that people that are active live longer. There's just no doubt about that. We can slow down brain degeneration, and many of the challenges that come with aging can be minimized by virtue of what we eat, leading an active lifestyle, getting to and maintaining a healthy weight. It's a challenge. We're all watching our weight. Some of us are just a little bit better at it than others, but it's a very important part of being healthy. And then, of course, our perspective is that wise supplementation to fill in the gaps, to optimize your efforts that you make every day to lead a healthy lifestyle. Our supplementation options for people will help with the overall healthy lifestyle.
Yeah, which is great. And that's certainly what the landmark studies prove. But we do know that our population is certainly facing some real challenges. And I know one is type 2 diabetes. And Dr. Jamie, if you could touch on this just to kind of, provide some overview on kind of what's going on.
This continues to be shocking to me, and I think is shocking to a lot of health professionals across the world. This is a global epidemic for sure. Here in the United States, we have some of the highest rates of prevalence of diabetes, which just means the percentage of people in our population that have been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, which is essentially related to your genetics to a certain extent, but also your weight and your diet. So close to 10% of the US population has been diagnosed. But what's even more shocking is that 1 out of every 3 adults has pre-diabetes, which means that their blood sugar is rising over time. And at some point in time, if they don't make a change in what they're doing, they also will be diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. We're seeing this at a younger and younger age, Nancy. And when I first was in medical practice in the early 1980s, I don't think I had anybody in my patient population that had diabetes that was less than age 50. And now, literally 35 years later, we are not shocked to diagnose type 2 diabetes in a 15-year-old, in a 12-year-old even. I mean, it's really shocking. The American Academy of Pediatrics issued a statement a few years back saying that this was the #1 reason for the reversal of the longevity trends that we've seen in the last century. We've tended to have longer and longer life expectancy. And as a result of this increase in these chronic diseases occurring at younger and younger ages, we're actually seeing that trend of longer life expectancy plateauing and even starting to decline. It's a little shocking.
Oh my goodness, that is shocking. And this really plays back to really diet, exercise, lifestyle, more so than genetics.
Absolutely. You can have a genetic tendency, but again, if you don't follow the lifestyle, then that genetic tendency doesn't necessarily need to be expressed in your health.
Right. And then, of course, the prevalence of type 2 diabetes in the landmark
Right. So obviously we're doing better than the US population. I call that as a call to action in Shaklee that we can certainly do better, because I'd like to see that number be smaller, but we'll celebrate it as it is. That
it's going in the right direction. It's down.
But we're certainly doing better than the general population. Exactly.
Yes. Okay.
So this slide, just let me explain this, because this is quite demonstrative. So there's a dark green line, which is the Shaklee group, and there's a light green line, which is the combination of the 4 control groups that we had in the study. And essentially it's looking, as you go down the x-axis, it's looking at increasing age, so 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years old. And on the other axis is the diabetes prevalence. So if you go over to age 50, we see that about 3.5% of the Shaklee population has diabetes, whereas over 7%, so twice the percentage in the general population has diabetes. But here from age 50 going to age 70 plus, you have this divergence, which a lot of people talk about, the health span versus the lifespan. So as you get older, the likelihood that you're going to develop one or more chronic health challenges increases dramatically. And this is a good documentation of this with the diabetes data here. So when you look at age 70, the general population has almost 3 times the prevalence of type 2 diabetes as the Shaklee population. Shaklee population has about 6%, whereas the general population group has almost 17%.
Right. It's no longer okay just to say you want to live longer. You want to live longer and healthier. So
absolutely. I mean, I think that anyone who's in that older category, that's one of the first things to say, well, it's not just about getting to this age, it's about getting to this age and being healthy and having vitality and you know, energy to live a happy life.
Mm-hmm. Oh, this is a great representation of those numbers. Okay, and then omega-3s. Let's talk about that a little bit, because those are another superhero.
It's absolutely a superhero, Nancy, and something that Shaklee has been a strong proponent of, and we've been marketing a dietary supplement with fish oil since the early 1980s. So omega-3s are fats that we don't make. We have to take them in dietarily. We have some internal conversion of ALA into EPA and DHA, but primarily we get it through our diet. And the level of omega-3 in your blood, which is called the omega-3 index, has been validated as a marker of, again, like triglycerides and cholesterol and C-reactive protein, as a marker for risk for heart disease development. It's based on over 80 published research papers.
That's awesome. Okay.
So how do we put this in perspective for health? Essentially, when we look at places like Japan that have very low risk, some of the lowest risk for coronary heart disease in the world, what is their omega-3 index? Well, it's 8% and higher. And if you compare that to places like America or many of the developed countries of the world, unfortunately, they have an omega-3 index of 4% or less. So again, the lower your omega-3 index is, the higher your cardiovascular risk is.
Okay, so yeah.
So how did we do? How did we do?
Mm-hmm.
So we have this group of folks that are average age 73, have been using our Shaklee products for 30 years or more, and they indeed had the average omega-3 index was 8.49%. So again, more like the Japanese and less like American.
That supplementation, that healthier diet, all adds up. Look at these numbers.
Exactly. So in summary, Nancy, with the Landmark 2, we had a group of folks that were, although they were on average 15 years older, the Shaklee cohort actually shows to have higher blood nutrient levels, which we would expect. They're taking dietary supplements. But that also is associated with healthier biomarkers, lower medication usage, and most importantly, lower prevalence of diabetes and heart disease, which again are these common diseases of our modern world that are becoming more prevalent. So
That we
again,
hear
we
about
have,
we hear about these every single day.
yes,
Yes.
absolutely. And people are very concerned about this. So again, this is nice validation and done in a scientifically validated and credible way, published in a peer-reviewed journal to validate this association of long-term supplement usage, a healthy lifestyle, and better health outcomes.
This has just been incredible. And I know Shaklee stands for science. We have the proof, and that proof is the landmark studies. And Dr. Jamie, thank you so much for taking us through both of these studies and how it truly lends to healthier lifestyles for those that are supplementing, and that the credibility that we as a company have with this scientific research and proof that this does work. Thank you so much, Dr. Jamie, for joining us today.
It's been an honor to be here, and I really am so proud to be a part of the scientific process here at Shaklee.
Thank you, Dr. Jamie. We'll talk to you all soon. Thanks for joining us.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.